Thank you. I'm Dan Dooley from the Office of the President. Steve Beckwith is in an airplane that's delayed and is not yet at San Diego and will be joining us later. So I'm flying solo without the aid of my friend who's the Vice President for Research and an astrophysicist. So in any event, I want to say that we're delighted to be here and be a part of this program and representing the University of California system. We certainly join with President Yudof in conveying the enthusiasm of the entire system over your successes at Calit2 and indeed the successes of all of the institutes that were created under the vision of Governor Davis. These institutes began as a dream, which, as we reflect now, over the last 10 years have achieved successes far beyond perhaps even those involved at the time thought possible in a 10-year period. Governor Davis had an extraordinary vision to create this model for innovation. It's a model that brings together the best and brightest in California in a public-private partnership to focus on solutions to some of our most pressing problems. Today, we celebrate the successes and accomplishments that have occurred over the last 10 years, and we recommit ourselves to invigorating and continuing this model to address future challenges for California and indeed the world. We have here at Calit2, and we're delighted to share in this celebration with you. I regret that Steve could not also participate, but it gives me great personal pleasure to invite Governor Davis to the podium in San Diego. And the personal pleasure is I had the opportunity 34 years ago to begin working with then Chief of Staff to the Governor, Gray Davis, in the first Governor Brown administration, and have been acquainted with Gray throughout his public service in California. And I must say, I think that his particular vision with respect to the future of California reflected in the California Institutes of Technology is a legacy that shall long endure in his name. And so with that, with Governor Davis, I'd like to recite to you the proclamation, which says the Governor Gray Davis Institutes of Science and Innovation. The institutes were named in March 2008 by the Regents of the University of California in honor of former California Governor Gray Davis, whose leadership was instrumental in the creation of the California Institutes for Science and Innovation in 2000. The institutes are a multidisciplinary, multi-campus research effort by the University of California, working in partnership with private companies in the areas of information technology, biomedical research, and nanotechnology. These pioneering institutes have brought the world's finest researchers together to find solutions to the most important scientific and technological challenges. And this action taken by the Regents in 2008 is reflected now in the unveiling of the plaques that will be on each of the institutes, Calit2 institutes. So I'm told somebody in San Diego will unveil the plaque there, and I'm instructed to do it here. So I don't know if I'm supposed to go 1, 2, 3, or... And my understanding is we're going to take some photographs now, is that correct?
Correct, thank you. I'm going to invite the first row to please come forward.
Larry Smart, Hussein, the guy who's to wave it off. Please come up on stage so we can take a few pictures.
Position right at the right spot. Just travel that. I've got to get, and then I'm going to have to switch you on over on this side. Okay. Because we can't go beyond this line here. It's the problem. That looks like they're getting their folks organized. I was doing that all. Don't we want the plaque? The plaque is in there, and what's going to happen, and for everyone in the audience, we should, there, you're seeing the group behind you. If you look behind you, you're seeing your counterparts down in San Diego.
That was the time to think of that. Which one is trying to do?
They're still organizing people down there.
Okay.
But it takes some practice shots.
No, they're antlers, it's the season.
I think we're close here. Here we go. All here and good.
Oh, no, someone just snuck into there. There. Behind Larry.
Do that again?
Someone new just entered the scene.
We're good here.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, but that doesn't mean they're good there. My apologies.
Yeah, not done yet.
Okay.
My apologies. Oh, okay, good. I'm done.
They're done.
Wow, this is really special. It's hard to believe that 10 years has passed, but it's even harder to believe how much progress the researchers and scientists and all the different schools that have come together to make Calit the wonder that it is have created. And I want to begin by thanking UC President Udolph, my dear friend Dan Dooley, who served with distinction in the U.S. Congress and is now serving with distinction in the Office of the President, Chancellors Fox and Drake for their extraordinary work, and I'm going to get to some other special people in a moment. But all of you at Irvine and San Diego have made Calit a wonder, and I know the best is yet to come. Let me begin here with Chancellor Fox. Well, actually, I'm going to take this a little bit out of order because folks are on stage here. I just want to acknowledge that the real architect of this concept was Richard Lerner. He came to me in 2000. We had lots of money because of the dot-com boom, and we didn't know it was going to end, but we had lots of money, and the private sector had lots of money. And he said, you know, one way to spend this money on one-time purposes is to invest in institutes at the University of California. And they should be multidisciplined, and they should be collaborative in nature. One of the real reasons why these institutes have garnered attention across the world, and there's investors in this from Saudi Arabia, people have been here from Japan, China, London, Germany, to look at what we've done and to learn from what we've done, is because of the collaborative effort at Calit and the other institutes. So Richard's vision. First, when Richard brought it to me, I said, well, why don't we just do this at Salk? At Scripps, where he's the CEO of Scripps Research Institute. He said, it needs to be at a major research university, and duplicating this with the other three institutes is what will put this on the map. So, Richard, I'm extraordinarily grateful to you. I'm extraordinarily grateful to Dick Atkinson, who had to sell this to the UC Regents. And also, I don't know if it was Dan or Marianne or Chancellor Drake that said we had a 2-to-1 match. I think, Dick, we decided on a 3-to-1 match. But whatever it was, you guys have exceeded it with the 7-to-1 match. So whatever it was, there's a lot of private sector investment here, which is something I really wanted. Because I knew if great companies were paying for the research, as well as the federal government, companies like Qualcomm, Broadcom, why can't I say that? Connexent, Ericsson, Microsoft, division of Volkswagen is involved. People all around the world are investing in these institutes. The likelihood is that these institutes would survive for decades to serve humanity, to make this a cleaner, greener, safer world we live in. If we just depended on the state budget to do all this, we'd be in a world of hurt right now. So I knew early on, if we had stakeholders from major corporations who wanted to have long-term research, as then Professor, now former CEO Samueli mentioned in his video clip, if we had those people vested in Calit and the other institutes, the institutes would last for a very long time.